All right, we'll jump into topics. And Lonnie, your topic for the week.
Oh, I get to go first this week. That's awesome. So this week for me, we're in this quote unquote credit card recession where literally every card and its mama are starting to refresh or change things around in one way, shape, or form. So we're seeing cards switch ways in which you earn points and of course you burn points. Um, i.e., bonus categories are changing, like city. Did I just do it? Did I trigger you? I didn't trigger
No.
you, did I? Okay, good.
Okay.
And then, of course, how you burn them, like what Chase in the with just did with the Sapphire Reserve. Um, do you think that points and point redemptions will become harder or less relevant in the future for standard redemption, such as booking your hotel or your flight, or for vacation packages or bundles, which of course are also available in travel portals more often now, where you can just book entire packages? Do you think that's going to become harder or less relevant in lieu of select preferred card partners? Going back to Chase again, points boost, United, Marriott, easily found in there, but are you going to get that same type of like redemption? Are you going to get that same type of relevancy if you're outside of Chase's travel portal within that ecosystem and try to go to a partner that's not one of their preferred partners? I would love to hear your thoughts on the speculation station, if you will, on where this might be going. RJ, I'm going to start with you first.
So I actually don't think for people, I'll say people like me who travel often solo and tend to stick with more standard rooms, that it's going to be a problem. I actually think that the inventory might go up a little bit. I think that is going to be as easy or hard as it's ever been. Now, do I think people who want higher tier rooms or have to book multiple rooms at a time or have certain predications of what they want might have more difficulty? Yes. Like if you're somebody who cares super much about cent per point, I think that might become more difficult. I think you're somebody who, do I have 50,000 points? Do I want to spend 50,000 points here or do I want to spend X number of dollars? I would like to spend no money. Like I would like to physically take no money out of my wallet. I would just want to spend the 50,000 points. I think that's going to be as easy or hard as it ever was. And I'm not saying that cent per point doesn't matter. I'm not saying that I don't look at the cash price versus the points price. I'm just saying that I don't have that, 1.25 in my head or 1.33 in my head when I do it. I look at the two numbers and then I pick the one I want. So it's not that hard and fast math rule. And I think people like me who are in it more for the perks and the travel experience and the things like that, and cent per point matters less. And those sort of very specific things matter a little bit less on their sort of the 10 things that care and how you rank that in order. I don't think it's going to change. And to be honest, I think most people who are in the credit card game, but not like obsessive about the credit card game, and I use obsessive in not a pejorative way, sort of in a technical way of how they go about it. I don't think it's, I don't think they're going to notice until we get to a point where the platinum doesn't have any direct ways to book and the CSR doesn't have any direct ways to book and the Venture X, you can't get 2X if you book direct. Like, until cards stop letting you book direct and getting elevated rates, I don't think it's going to go away. I think it might change what cards people use, but I don't think it's going to go away. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. But I don't think for most people it's going to change all that much unless you're very, very heavy into I am only going to do this redemption if I get a cent per point that is above this number I have already in my head before I even look at anything else. And that's a valid way to do it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I think it will be much harder for you specifically versus people who are a little more relaxed on cent per point and in it for different reasons.
Matt, what's your 2 cents?
So I think standard redemption, the Hyatt award chart, the basic number of points for your premium economy seat, all of that is going to stay relatively the same. I think, and to touch on your members only video a little bit, I do think there's going to start being a bit of a chase and a bit of a fight going on the travel portal side, and starting to bundle as much value as you can in individual travel portals. And I don't just mean the Chase travel portal, the City travel portal, Capital One, American Express. I'm talking like JetBlue vacations. I'm talking Delta vacations and United Airlines and American Airlines, where you're going to package, and they might start dialing and changing the numbers a little bit to provide you a little bit more value so that you come into their ecosystem, where you're going to get higher rates of return by packaging your flight, your hotel, and your rental through JetBlue Vacations. Maybe they can arrange something with the hotel where, yes, it's a third party booking, but you're going to get your night, you're going to get your status reflected, you're going to get that extra little bit that's going to get you to commit to come over to them, whether it's JetBlue or United or whoever. You're going to see the credit card companies continue to do the same thing. You've got FHR and the Edit already letting you get your status reflected, get your night, get your points, have whatever spend you have on property also be reflected in your point earning with the property. You could start seeing the ecosystems starting to build out your own packages and your own point return. Point boost could be a thing where, oh yeah, you're going to get 2 cents per point doing this with our preferred partners. But if you let Chase build your entire itinerary for you, we'll get you 4 cents per point. American Express could turn around and do the same thing. Go through American Express Travel Concierge. You usually get like a 1.5% per point guarantee through us. Come through our concierge service, let us handle everything for you. We'll guarantee you 5 cents per point. Chase could do the same. City could do the same thing. Capital One could do the same thing. Extra other travel agencies could try to start getting in on One Key and Expedia. You could see Booking try and get into things with a loyalty program from them. You could see Rove come in and say, hey, we'll bundle the flight, we'll do the hotel, and if they get into rental cars, go from there. Even the rental car companies could try and get in on it. Like, you're gonna potentially see a move where it's come to us, declare your fealty to us, and we'll take care of you. And Chase and American Express, I think, can do more with this than others. But if you had something where you went through Chase Travel, like Lonnie, let's say the points boost doing it on your own is 2 cents per point. Point boost coming through our own hand-picked selections for you based on your travel, we're going to give you 4 cents per point. How often are you going to ask Chase to take care of everything for you?
Almost all the time.
Exactly, because you're going to guarantee that 4 cents per point. If American Express came out over the top and said, you know what, Chase is doing 4, we're going to give you 5.5. I'm sure you'd ask American Express to take care of you. I could see something like that, where like the standard do it yourself is still going to be what it's going to be, but you could potentially, if they make investments in this, you could see either the banks or the airlines, not so much the hotels. I don't know why. And, not even so much the rental car companies, but like that would be fun on the competition side of things. Just start like being willing to lose some money to gain your loyalty, to get more swipes, to get more of your spend going through them and their preferred method of you spending. I think you could see that. Now, it'd be crazy for Chase to guarantee 4 cents per point through a Chase Travel Concierge or through American Express doing the same thing. 4 cents per point, probably a little crazy, but if you could guarantee 2 cents per point right now, and I still have to do a lot of stuff, but you're willing to do everything and give me a higher return so that I just keep my spend with you, they'll probably look into doing something like that. How successful would it be? I don't know. How many people are going to take advantage of that? I don't know. How likely is it that you're just going to see the standard redemption because not a whole lot of people are in this side of the game? It'll probably still stay the same. But there are people who want everything done for them. That's why travel agencies exist, right? If the credit card companies wanted to start going after travel agencies, or the travel agency portions of airlines wanted to start going after travel agencies, they could do some damage.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with either one of you, but I'm going to take it one step further because you both have mentioned how like the standard redemptions are going to be unimpacted. They're going to be business as usual, if you will.
Yeah.
What happens when that Hilton or that Marriott or whatnot says, wait a sec, we just found out that Amex or Chase or Citi or whoever, Venture or Capital One, that is going to give inflated stuff through their travel portals, and they're willing to pay us to bring people in. So that standard redemption that you have directly with, I'm going to keep using Hilton, just one partner right now. Hilton's like, that's great. We can actually save money if we make our standard redemption higher. So we devalue it, inflate it, whichever term you want to use.
Yeah.
But you get the best value from over here. And we're going to split that cost with X travel portal because they're going to give us a 70-30 split where they got 70. Now we only paid for 30 versus it was 100% on us directly.
I think
That's what I'm afraid of, because as these preferred partners get deeper and deeper in with the banks have to provide value in some way, shape, or form. And like I mentioned last week, you got to follow the money. So if the banks are like, we need Hilton, we need United, we need Marriott, we're willing to help, provide the best redemption or the best room, if you will. Because how many times have you gone to a travel portal and found a room that was available, but then went directly to that brand's website and that room was not available? It happens to me all the time. I see it quite often where I want that room with a room in it. I have to get it through the points boost now. That's the only way. That's the only place it's available. I can't just go book it. I might be able to book it there a couple of categories down and get upgraded with Hilton or whatever hotel brand. I know Hilton's not with Chase. Stay with me, fellas. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, but now the room that I want, I have to get through points boost. I have to get it through Chase. And Chase is like, we bought that room so that we can book it through our travel portal. And hotel, we will pay 70% of the cost because we're going to recoup so many points back through the travel portal, where now those standard redemptions start going away. They start getting devalued or price inflated, whichever way you want to look at that, because the hotels now are like, we want to save money and we're going to guarantee booking. And this takes away from us having to figure out who we're going to upgrade this week because we don't have to. That room's not available. Chase bought it.
I think because there's the Expedias and the Travelocities and the I'm sorry, not hotel, the airlines that have the partnerships with hotels and the banks that have there's almost too many moving parts that I think it might happen to one hotel brand. I don't think it can happen en masse. I think this is such a big and complicated web of interconnectedness that it would be hard for it to happen quickly, at least, all at once. I think I just don't see it happening quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it in the next 5 years happening. And I think in the next 5 years, trends are going to change again, right? I don't think it's going to be this way long enough for enough to change for it to actually fully be able to happen. I think the cycles of finance and credit cards are becoming shorter, not longer. And I think this would need a 10-year cycle to fully happen, where I don't think they have 10 years before things change anymore.
I'll give you that. I give you that because I don't agree. I do agree that it would take way too long for this type of transition to fully take effect. And by the time that it took effect, the entire game's going to change. So I agree with you there. Like the amount of time it would take and then what happens in that amount of time, everything's going to end up changing. So no, I do agree with you there. But do you see this effect? Maybe this doesn't take, maybe this is not at full scale. Maybe, like you say, with the Expedias and the 3P, whatnot. Maybe on a smaller scale. Like I said, what if it's just one or two hotel brands or one or two airlines? That's one or two of the big four major airlines in the US. That's a good chunk to actually disrupt some things. One or two of the big four hotel brands here in the US. That's a good chunk to disrupt some things where it only could take one. For example, just looking at Chase and Amex. If one of them makes a move, it affects everybody.
Mhm.
It only takes one of them to make a move for it to affect everybody.
I think so. One thing that I think that you're slightly discounting is yes, I think the hotels want to make money, right? Like they are fans of money, but they're also to some extent fans of autonomy. And I think if they connect themselves that much with Chase or Amex, like past where they are now, they run the risk of not being able to steer their own ship. They put so much on Chase or Amex that if there's a sudden loss of cabin pressure, as it were, they're not the one at the joystick trying to pull the plane up. Like they have to rely on Chase or Amex to do it. And I do think a lot of the big brands are adverse to that, if nothing else. Like they have all gone through, like these are companies that are old, right? Capital One is like 21 years old and they're the youngest of the major players. So I think a lot of these companies understand that controlling their own fate is ultimately the most important part of business. Um, so that would be my answer to that part because making money is great, but long-term controlling your own fate is how you make enough money to make it to 100 plus years.
Yeah, I got to give you credit on that one because even though as a business they want to, obviously they're in it to make money, but the bird in the hand is actually better than the two in the bush, and to lose control to a Chase or Amex, or majority control, if you will, to a Chase or Amex is not a good business model. So I will give you credit there. I know it's still a hypothetical, but RJ gets a point. RJ
I
gets a
mean,
point. In the argument, you get it.
but they could still keep that autonomy and pair up with get tighter with the airlines that they're already tight with. You've got Hilton and Delta, you've got Marriott and United.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I think it'll be harder, though, for an airline than it is for a hotel. And the reason why I say that is because, so first off, don't disagree with you, but a hotel, brick and mortar building, finite amount of space, finite amount of rooms. An
Sure.
airline, you could do the same concept with. You 100%. They could book by X percentage of seats on every airline, except for I don't know how many times you've been at O'Hare Airport and they changed your gate and they changed the plane, which throws all that out of the window.
Yeah. No, I think there's ways that it could be dialed around. I don't
Yeah,
think it would be like, oh, in 6 months you're gonna get like a 6 to 10% return by going through JetBlue vacations or going through United vacations, even though it's gonna be powered by JetBlue at some point. That'll be hilarious. Um,
yeah,
or going through Delta vacations where you do everything through Delta and they handle the flight, they handle the hotel, they handle the rental, they give you the 6 to 10% return.
That does put a wrench in the whole like Delta or United getting completely into bed with Chase or Amex. They have their own thing. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
to some
But
extent, they would have to give some of that up, or at
I
least it would be different.
I don't think with the airline they would necessarily have to give some of it up. So even in my last example of, yeah, I've been standing at the airport plenty of times, and all of a sudden it's another plane came in early, and now they swap planes. So Instead of row 8, now you're in row 9 or something of that nature. I've seen that happen a million and one times. That's normal. That's business as usual at any major airport here in the US. But the airlines themselves already do, we only give X amount of percentage as like award booking or award
Yeah.
booking at a certain redemption rate. What happens, I think, well, not even what happens. I think a card brand can easily come in and say, well, you already did 10%. We're going to do another 5%. And then they put that 5% in the travel portal. The airline has nothing to lose because within 30 minutes of closing that gate, they know that those seats are now available. So if you don't show up, now that it's free to just use our upgrade list and continue on. So I think going back to Matt's point, so Matt, you also get a point here. Um, I think it would be feasible for the airlines in that regard, in that particular business model, though.
Certainly fair. We'd have to see what ends up happening with it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And to go to that, like, why do you think points boost is first in business class only? It might already be happening right here in front of us.
Potentially. And we know Amex is going to come out with something similar.
I
I
gotta see what
mean,
they get. I'm gotta see what they do, man.
I think
I'm on
ul-
pins and needles.
I think ultimately we just don't know, right? As
Yeah.
much as we can say, well, this trend might continue or that. If we were to say in 5 years ago, we were to predict trends for 2025, some of the threads we pull are going to be spot on, and some of the threads we pull are dead in 6 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's something to watch. I absolutely think it's something to watch. But I don't know. My crystal ball is cracked and in the corner right now, so I sadly can only predict so much of the future.
Look,
That's
I've
fair.
had my strategy for over 20 years and it's worked, and they just start effing everything up.
You still
I
got
just
United.
I just want to get on the plane and get there. Without doing all this, learning all this new stuff and having to use Donuts credits. I just want to get there. And hopefully they got a Dunkin' Donuts when I get there.
I actually have a genetic predisposition to know where every Dunkin' Donuts is in a 5 mile radius of my location at all times.
I can actually tell you where they're at in airports around the world because that's the only place I ever see them.
I live in the land of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. No, everyone from the Northeast knows that there's Dunkin' at least a mile and a half somewhere down the road.